As the tech house market becomes oversaturated, minimal house seems to be a good avenue for the listeners of tech house to go to. As the listeners start to get older and they start going through their midlife crisis or they start contemplating life, they're going to need music that they can dive into, not dance to. Or house is going to be that nice guy that's always lurking in the back, just waiting. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make some of these nice minimal sounds. Now, we're going to be focusing more on stabs and more of the spacey echo stuff, as that's what inspires me. And I also made a sound bank for it that will be coming out at the end of this week, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. Now, the basis of many of these sounds that you hear in minimal house at the moment is a very harmonic sound. Usually you can create your first minimal house, Stasi house sound by grabbing one of the oscillators and going +7. This makes Serum, let's say I'm hitting G, go up 7 semitones to the G sharp, the A sharp, B, C, C sharp, and then the D is the 7th. And the G and the D get along really well. The G spot, the D spot, make a joke, you get it. I mean, Stefan Botzin has used it to create his like melodic techno stuff, the Bald Man. You've heard it a lot in different songs. Even Weston made a track with these kind of sounds in tech house. And even I did too, which is out now, called So High. Literally the sound is a +7 with a filter on it. But here's the beautiful thing about this setup here. This is theory, right? In minimal house, we can use this, but now this is where synthesis takes place. These kind of synths, especially the ones I have over here, they're called subtractive synthesizers because you take away and then you bring back in a very different way. So this is where a filter would come into play, because with filters, we want to shape the sound. We want to remove something. We want to take. And then as we do this, we have to bring it back in a very nice, pleasing way. And this is where envelopes and LFOs come into play to make this sound come to life. You can use envelope 3, lower the sustain, bit of decay. We're going to route it to our cutoff. This is the amount. We're literally here like, you know, the CEO of our own company. Like, how far do we want to go? We design the sound, and the workers will do what workers do. They'll work and start to create the sound, the basis. Now with the attack, decay, sustain, and release, you start to create the sound. Attack. Whoa. Low attack, some decay. This is where you shape your sound so that you can create what you want to create. You can express yourself how you want to express yourself. And also, you want to learn how to do this, because I'm not against presets. I mean, I sell them for a living, but what I am against is when people, my students in particular, use presets and they're deer in headlights. Let's say they want to do something or they imagine the preset differently. You don't need to know how to create sounds, but you need to know how to modify them. You know, so you don't need to know how to create a car, but if your boy get in a Porsche, you need to know how to go fast and how to turn left or right. Turn left. Okay, so from there, add some effects, which makes anyone sound good. This is why effects will always come at the end of a sound design process. Let's go 1/8, 1/8 here. I'm not explaining delay and reverb. I feel like many people know already, but if you don't, go watch a tutorial on it. Cool. I want the delay to be more apparent, so I'm going to bring the mix up. I'm going to bring the feedback up. And I love you. Sweet. Okay. So from here, let's start to get a little more complex. Come. We have LFOs in Serum, but there's 3 different modes in Serum. We got the trig, we got the envelope, and we got the off. The trig will always start at the beginning no matter what. So if I put this on the filter, which we're going to do, and we're going to do this here, it will always start at the beginning. However, envelope mode means that you play it and then it doesn't loop, which LFOs are supposed to loop. From there, we have the off. And I think this is the most powerful one for this kind of music because it never stops. And when you're playing with the song, it stays in sync with it. So I'm going to put that here. We don't know if it's going to sound good, but what you're going to hear, I'm also going to add it to the resonance, is that it's going to provide constant movement. We're going to lower the rate, the speed of it. The BPM is off. That means that this is just based on hertz. You can see how low that hertz goes. It goes low, low, down, low, lower than Tatiana. And as you can see, it's allowed to roam. It creates movement, and this is going to be the basis for what we do, because A lot of producers like to use plugins like Tantra, which we're going to talk about in today's video. But you can be your own Tantra in the synth if you know what you're doing. So we're going to add this to add movement. From there, we're going to lower the cutoff. We're going to move the envelope high. We're going to add our LFO and lower down the amount because we want it to be more gradual. We don't really want huge jumps. And we're going to hold Alter Option, Shift, click. And now it's bipolar, called a therapist. Anyways, point being, this goes both directions now. You can see by the arrow that looks like a street sign. Usually those streets, you want to get the but anyways, we're going to lower that. And now we're going to play something pleasant. This made the first minimal house sound that sounds very complex, a lot of movement, a lot of life in this. Now, what changes from here? Well, this is going to be the formula for these kind of sounds, but here's the thing. We are in Serum. Serum is like the rainbow. There's a lot of flavors, a lot of different colors. Scientists haven't yet identified them all. And Stussy House, Minimal House, has yet to use them all. So this is where you start exploring the wavetable capabilities of Serum. You know, you start going like, let's go with a PWM Electro and I don't know, like, let's use the PW Mrs. Ah. Ha ha ha. Like you see how good that sounds, brothers. If you're not looking to make friends, you're looking to make enemies. And this is where we can now use oscillator A and bring in the +3, which will give us the minor chord. And what that means is that it sounds more, I don't know if it's Detroit or Chicago. I forget which one's the one that's on Adderall. But anyways. We're going to go back to saws now. Okay, this is where you learn everything with saws, and then you can start getting more interesting stuff with different colors. And now we get the very someone correct me in the comments. Is this Detroit or Chicago, or is it the Bronx? It's one of those. I know that. I mean, come on. I mean, I love house music. I don't know the history of it, but that doesn't make me any less, man. Anyways, here we can also go up an octave. So this is just the voicing. The +3 is the same thing. When we play G minor, G, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then +7, that gives us the triad chord, the basic noob chord, the basic chord that people like to hate on. I mean, it sounds good. Why not change? But when we start moving around, that's when the poo-poo hits the fan, and it starts giving you this sound in particular. From there, we either go to Chicago or Detroit. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments. +3, Chicago takes accountability for it, or is it Detroit, or is it the same place? Is it the Bronx? I don't know. But then the +4 is more happy. Okay. Anyways, point being, that's how we get those minor ones. Everything else that I'm about to teach, you can choose to combine. But I'm going to go back to my safe place because I hate those kind of sounds. And I'm going to go back to my 7th because I love 7th. So I sent labels a song with this sound. They're like, we like your song, but the sound design needs to be more unique. I'm like, but it sounds good, but more unique. I'm like, all right. Anyways, point being, from here, we can now use a filter at the end of this chain and lower the cutoff down. This is going to make it so that everything is put away. But here's the thing. Now we can come in with another LFO. Now, if you hold shift in Serum, you can do these modular looking things, very squarey. And then you can route it to, yep. And then you get those nice, let's add also like some movement to it. So it goes up with this guy to the right. The way you see the LFO is the way that knob is going to be turned, going from in the blue, the modulation amount, which we already talked about. So from here. Sure, let's try maybe using a band pass. This is a different kind of filter where the high pass and the low pass had a baby, and now it's this little kind of nugget that focuses in on one frequency more. The other cool thing is now we can get rid of this if we wanted to. We can have this filter at 100%. And now we have this really cool sound. Let's bring this back. Let's decrease the drive. Let's move this. And then this guy can just go to the left. And now we can create these really cool effects. Let's put the delay higher. Now we can bring in the effect of the Minimal House producers, the down sample, which even Michael Bibi used in the bass, and it has nothing to do with this vibe. Okay, so this is how we would create these kind of sounds, very harmonic full. We add flavor, you change the color, and then you get more unique if you want. Like for instance here, Dear Label, here you go. Also sounds kind of funk sounding, right? There's other ways to create these type of stabs, and the other way revolves around the Korg M1 plugin, which I heavily used for this pack as well, Minimal Nights. The main reason is that the Korg M1 has a sound that I cannot emulate with Serum for certain things, as it's a rompler style, Nexus style of synth, and what that means is just a lot of samples that were put into it, and then it's a sampler playing stuff out. But there's more to it. There's effects and stuff. So the next thing you can do, this is the next way to achieve these kind of stabs or these kind of sounds, except the last part that I showed you. There's a plugin that you're going to use for that. You're going to use a chord. You're going to go +7, very similar to what we did. So we're going to hit 7. We're going to dial 15. We're going to pray she picks up. And then from there, you can choose to either add a 24 or you can choose not to. From there, you play as you go through presets. Here, let's use this one. This one might be a little bit more tasteful. We'll add... let's add a 24 in there, just for fun. What you're gonna have to do with this one, you're gonna have to bounce it down. So we're gonna go Command-Shift-T, click, sorry, T, and then we're gonna go to C, the root note, and we're gonna do this and just elongate it. You're gonna hold Shift, freeze it. You're gonna flatten it, and then we get this. Now the problem with this is that it doesn't really create a good stab, because there's too much attack. But since you've committed to it, you can say, I'm going to do something with it. So you can bring it here. You can Command-J that. And now you have that. And now we can use the Ableton Simpler or Sampler. And it's in C, so you don't really need to route anything. That's why we pick C. The other thing to do is when you do it here, you can choose to do the Complex Pro and pitch it down by 12. So you introduce a bit of instability into the sample. This is the modern day equivalent of running something through an Akai sampler. Or you can also use the textures for some granular action. That one sounds nicer. So once we have that, we can Command-J that, commit, and now we're going to have the sampler, put it in. We have that. Some reverb, some delay. Once you have that, there's one more thing I want to show, and there's a plugin called Tantra, which most people don't learn how to use and just use the presets, me included. But a lot of the sound design techniques I use for this pack come from Tantra. It comes from the idea of this because it's an effects processor, randomized. Use it at 50%. You get a lot of really cool effects. So make sure to use it in your sound design or like processing journey. I usually like to put it at 50%, but it does a lot. And then you can randomize here to do really neat stuff. You can turn off some of the effects just in case. these are some techniques you can utilize to make your next minimal house sounds. And if you guys want to check out my sound bank, it will be coming out this Friday. It's going to contain a lot of dope sounds, unique sounds that you wouldn't be able to find on Splice or be able to find on the Korg M1. This is just me, again, learning the theory, sharing it with you. But I use the theory to create a batch of sounds that hopefully you guys will enjoy. It comes with bass lines, it comes with leads, it also comes with chord stabs that many people like. As always, guys, thank you guys for your thank you for your support. And if you're looking to improve or further your knowledge forward, consider watching this video here, where I talk a little bit about how to get your synths to sound beefy. Goes well with this video, and I'm sure you'll get something out of it. With that being said, much love, and you guys take care.